Good. Just a quick question. Do you know globally how many people suffer from depression? The World Health Organization had given a figure. Globally, depression. Anyone has that idea? Could guess? It's around 350 million people globally. And estimates around 800,000 persons commit suicide every year. So, in this room, it is estimated that 1 in 4 of you will suffer from emotional or mental illness. So you look around at each other and you may realize that sometime in the future, or probably presently, somebody is suffering from a mental illness. Now, men, you know, we have situations where we look at men, we look at their issues, and we found that looking at statistics of suicide, I wonder, are we an endangered species? Not species, are we an endangered group? Because comparing to women, men commit suicide more, about 4 times as much times than women. So some figures have 4.5, 7.5 different countries. Men commit suicide more than women. And we all know that men die out earlier. So there are a lot of widows around, and the widows there, you know, have to carry on their houses, and they actually suffer from something we call the emptiness syndrome. So then we wonder, we are committing suicide more, or we are dying out more. So is the men's group, are we in danger? What's happening to us? Why do we think that way? So we have to understand that there are various factors that comes into play why men would want to kill themselves, why men would want to commit suicide. And this is questions we have to solve. Is it our changing roles? Is it something that is going on? Is it that we are not accustomed to looking at a wife going to work, having more earning capacity to us? Is it that we have problems with accepting the fact that the females are going out, they are not at home cooking, taking care of the children? That cultural, ideas in our head that, sometimes it's a concept that men may have to change. So, the idea I'd want to come out to is the questions that we have to keep asking as a gender issue. What is our problem? So, men are killing themselves more than women. And if you notice some of the statistics I saw there, it's like, we have situations where even up to 2012, we find 91% of cases in Trinidad were cases men actually committed suicide more than women. So you have that variation, you have that level. So we have to, our challenge really as caregivers is to figure out why are men doing this. So there are various reasons, but we know there are differences from men and women. Now I see there are a lot of women in the audience. I hope, with the equality, gender equality has come a long way, but we have differences. We have hormonal differences. I have more testosterone, you have estrogen. We have different hormones, and the hormonal influences is just one of the factors that may be contributing to this disparity we see in the suicide rate. So there are a lot of things, and we have to try to figure what's going on there. So in 2012, there were some 193 suicides, with 146 males ending their own lives. In 2016, the Forensic Science Center gave data that showed 91% of all suicides were due to males committed now. So there's a difference, and we have to see why. Now there's a reason we have noted in the psychiatric world that a woman may get certain stressors, a man may get certain stressors, but men and women handle depression differently. So we find that a woman, she may blame herself. A man may blame others. So you have to look at the differences between males and females. A woman may feel sad, a woman may feel apathetic, worthless. A man may feel, that he is angry. he is irritable, he's ego inflated. A woman may feel anxious and scared, avoid conflicts. A woman may feel, slow down, nervous, have trouble setting boundaries, find it easy, and this is very important, they find it easier to talk about self-doubt and despair. And they also use food, friends, and love as to self-medicate. While men, on the other hand, they feel suspicious and guarded. They create conflicts. They feel restless and agitated. They have a need to feel in control at all times. They feel restless and agitated, and they need to feel that, they find it weak to come out and speak about their despair and their depression. And they use alcohol, TV, sports, and sex to self-medicate. Now, that is not an excuse for you guys to go and have an affair and say, well, I'm depressed, so I went to have sex, or I went in, the rum shop. But this is the disparity we see. Men choose different ways to handle their depression. So therefore, as general practitioners, as medical personnel, we may not see the men come into clinics to get their attention. So we are missing out on a whole set of these men who are depressed, but expressing their depression differently. You may see them in the rum shop. You may see them having an affair. You may see them being angry and irritable, quarreling. And it doesn't look like a depression that we may think you're just down, you're apathetic, you don't want to go out. So they present differently. So we need to recognize that in society to help the men, to help the gender come into terms with a higher risk of suicide. So why is that a difference? Well, there's a difference also because of hormonal. When we are stressed out, we produce adrenaline, epinephrine. We produce cortisol, a steroid, and that gives us a fright response. These are hormones. But women secrete a hormone called oxytocin more, which calms them a little better. So you find a woman may be able to think a little more rational. Now, worldwide statistics show that women suffer twice as much as men for depression. So women suffer from depression more, but men kill themselves more. So this is the thing. But women suffer more. Why? Why we know that? They come out, they talk about it. So this may be one reason that women are coming out talking. So we have that statistics. So we have that hidden epidemic among men that we may be missing. But as women come out and speak about the depression, we are able to help them more. So women, as I say, suffer more from depression, but the suicidality that we have, the suicide that we are seeing in male, is something we have to address. Hormonal influences is one. Again, macho culture. So again, some men may tend to deny depression because they usually believe they need to be strong. So our culture has said, it's a weakness to show that we have any sort of that we have to go for counseling, a weakness, that we will have to go on and say that we cannot handle our own emotions. We are supposed to be strong normally. So this is an outdated concept that is changing in society. And it's going to change to something better because it will give equality to the roles better. But in the transition, we are seeing that males are getting, a little rough patch there. And, males usually do not talk about their feelings and say they talk more about their symptoms, their physical symptoms accompanying depression. So sometimes a man may go to a general practitioner, doc, I'm having back pains. That could be depression. Or I'm not concentrating properly. That could be depression. Females may go and talk about their problems. Females may go and say, we're having tension, headaches, migraines. So depression looks differently. And in male, they may come out as a somatic or bodily symptoms. Now, our challenge really is to get males to, we need males actually to come out of the closet. Come out of the closet and said, I am depressed. And this is a challenge for us. So we have to have situations in place where even from the schools, we could allow the male child to come out to the counselors and said, I have a problem at home. I am being abused at home. I have verbal abuse, I have physical abuse. Because studies have shown that children in school are violent and aggressive. A lot of them, 40% of them, there was a study done in certain schools, 40% of violent children were sexually abused. So we are looking at the fact that if we can pick up a child who is depressed, it means we will now be helping that child, to treat and get support systems before that child becomes a depressed male adult with problems. So we need to educate teachers, look for signs of depression. There's student support services that can help. So again, men need to come out of the closet. Men need to say, listen, I have my problems. General practitioners need to be trained to recognize depression, because it's found that 60% of persons who are depressed do not seek help. They do not seek help. And this is a challenge that we have. We say, why you don't seek help? Some people don't recognize it. Some people see it as a weakness. Some people, the stigma of mental illness, they don't want to go and see a psychiatrist because you'll call them crazy. We have a clinic in Barataria, and we didn't even call it the psychiatric outpatient clinic. We call it the Barataria Community Mental Health and Wellness Clinic, so people could buy in more. They could come for counseling. Men could come in and speak. So look at this picture here. This picture shows a typical, there's a guy, and there's a surrounding, there's a child surrounding him. So what is found, the new roles of men, they may have to take care of children. The traditional roles of going to work and coming back, they may have to drop children to school. That wasn't there a long time. It was totally the female role. So this is a new role that men has to take. Look at that house. That building actually could represent two things. That you're paying your mortgage, you don't have the money to pay it. Unemployment, a cause of depression, or emotional problems in male. Look at that picture with the muscle, that guy looking like Schwarzenegger. I am a strong Arnold, yeah. That is your concept that society has given you. You're supposed to be strong. You're not supposed to be weak. You're not supposed to open up to your wife or your boss and say, Doc, boss, I having problems at home. I am depressed. Again, you're looking here at the fact that money, finances, people are losing their jobs, unemployment. And again, the broken heart is there again. So that picture gives you in a nutshell the emotional problems that we encounter in men. But then who's at risk? Who are the risk factors? Because I would want people to identify the people who are at risk. If a man is lonely, like if he has living alone, he's divorced, he's living alone, that is a guy who can get depressed. We need him to interact in society. We need that guy to be somehow coming out in some community sport, so something to get him out of there. So lack of social support, social isolation. So a lot of elderly persons, they are alone home. They are depressed. They are emotionally, they have problems. Recent stressful life experience, divorce, somebody die, you got robbed. So if you're having a criminal activity, you find that, and you have post-traumatic stress, you find that you're robbed. Good, so you're robbed. But then if you're hearing and gunshots in your area and reading it in news every time, or getting WhatsApp pictures of people being robbed, that traumatizes you further. So the emotional well-being of men sometimes, if they are robbed, I tell them, do not look at these newspapers, do not go into looking at those criminal activities, because you are going to re-traumatize yourself. So therefore, recent stressful life events, death of your loved one, early childhood trauma or abuse. If you have early childhood trauma or abuse and you didn't handle it properly, when you're an adult and the stresses come down, you can fold up and you can have emotional problems. So thank God there's the Children's Authority in Trinidad. So we are hoping that children with any sort of problem could seek help there. So that set of children in the future will be already targeting them and carry them through some sort of support. Unemployment, underemployment, all these are things that, you cannot maintain the home. You cannot buy food. You must feel, that stress, that level. Family history of depression. If your family has depression or somebody in your family commits suicide, there's an increased chance you will commit suicide. So any patient I see, I ask, what is your family history? Anybody had suicide in your family? And you kind of red flag that patient. Alcohol or drug abuse. We know sometimes we use alcohol to numb our emotions. Men use alcohol as a means for depression. But all alcohol depresses you further. So all of these things you have to look out for, and also any sort of relationship problems. So relationship problems is high on the agenda, I find. In Trinidad, a lot of guys have relationship problems. But what we are seeing now, you have the unprepared male. Now the unprepared male is a guy who, years ago, when the feminist movement occurred, women got rights, equality came in, which it was much needed, and there's a lot of still gender inequality going on, and women need to, still go after certain things there. But when that came about, the men were really not educated and prepared that, hey, soon the woman will be going out to work, you will have bosses there. So no one taught them that they no longer had to, be the man of the house and actually, the status and standing in the community. It came like a culture shock. So some men are still going through that culture shock. The traditional rules are not there. So the unprepared males. So again, the changing gender roles would cause us uncertainty and also, confusion. And I always say, people get depressed for two things. I call it CU. CU is confusion and uncertainty. So let us say you with a woman, and she's cheating on you. The uncertainty, you're not sure. CU, the confusion and uncertainty. Will it work? Will she stay with me? What could I do? Once you have that going on and playing on your mind, ruminating, cause for mental illness. Let us say now you don't have a job. The uncertainty, where will my next meal come from? Again, uncertainty, confusion will give us that problem. So we are looking at the changing rules, that the gender rules that can cause confusion in the man's mind, because he was not really prepared for it. And again, you have to appreciate the fact that, there are husbands now called house husbands. And I always I like Beatles music. You all are probably too young to do that. But John Lennon stayed home and minded his son Sean for years. Typical house husband. So once we could get that concept that society is changing, I think in the future we will have less of an issue with this. Because professionally there are more female doctors in the university, there are more female lawyers, there's a lag in the male in education. We know that lag is there. So society is now beginning to accept, the older male is now beginning to accept that, there's a change in rules that is here, that he has to accommodate. Again, unemployment, right? So, some studies showed that 1 in 7 men who are unemployed can expect to suffer from depression. And in Trinidad, we all know we are undergoing unemployment. So look out for your fellow men who are unemployed. Remember, social services offer certain things, and we have to encourage them to seek help there. Some men are too proud to go and get social services, but again, we have to tell them there are these things available, work towards it. Unemployed male, go to social welfare, you can get some help, you can get retraining. Ministry of Labor has a program where they are offering to retrain people. So it's not, and you see the retraining, you may not get money or a stipend, but you're getting that group therapy, talking to other fellas who have also lost their jobs. So unemployment, again, is a major issue which we are going to face with until the economic times improve. Divorce, social isolation. This is another cause of emotional problems in men. You're getting a divorce, some men can't handle it, and again, so any of our, any gentleman that undergoing divorce, you find that men are more subject to loneliness than women because they enjoy less social networks and tend to be less supportive of one another. So a divorce could hit a man harder. And again, a lot of patients tell me when they have to go to our court system and go 10, 15 times before the judge finalizes it, that's another thing where the system beats up on somebody and get them more emotionally stressed out. So we need a faster judicial system that deals with that. So social isolation, divorce, all these factors. So you lose your wife, you're going to go into depression. Some men, we need to be there for them. Now, look what, Socrates, we all admire him. And he said, call no man unhappy until he is married. Right? So, for the females in the audience, please don't pelt me with your books or your computers or iPads or whatnot. But Socrates said that. So, the point I want to make, you're losing your female companion through divorce. You could get depressed. But in a marriage, if you find there's a woman that's too controlling, too nagging, and you are there in that marriage, you feel like you are trapped in that marriage. So some men will come to me, Doc, for various reasons, my religion, I don't want to get a divorce. Or, because of the children, because my father and mother got married and stayed together for 70 years, I want to stay and stick it out, but they are not happy. So you have to look at that factor too, where men feel that they are trapped in the marriage. Some men also are unfaithful. So if you're unfaithful, and you have to go and hide your phone, and you have to go and make sure you have no lipstick on you or hair in your car, that will make you tense and anxious. So men, if you want to be emotionally happy, know what you want in life. If you want to cheat on your females, the stress that brings, hiding your phone and looking for, any sort of, evidence you have somebody outside, that brings on stress. So know what you want in life and move on, So then, there is also, the man said that there's a need for external validation. So you find that you may have a partner, but she doesn't give you the appreciation. So you're living with your wife. And many men will still see their success as a husband, as having the ability to make their wives or partners, feel contented. And if their wife don't give them that level of, appreciation, that is a template for depression also. So woman, you may have a part to play in making your husband happy by telling him every so often. He may be squeezing the toothpaste in the wrong end and getting you frustrated, leaving his towel on the floor. But a little words of encouragement. Sometimes, he's still your husband. He may have good points, bad points. So, so you have to also look at your husbands and give them that level of appreciation. So if a man senses a woman is not happy and can't work out why, it is quite easy for him to, and the woman cannot work out why I'm not happy. She tends to attach that blame to the husband. And this is what many husbands will feel, that they are not appreciated. So this is one of the reasons, again, that when we are doing relationship counseling, we try to say, listen, let's try and see if we can help that. Now, again, breakup. We all know Tabanka. Trinidad, local, Tabanka. The girl left you, you're getting depressed, broken heart. I mean, you go back into history, you have histories of that. So we have feelings, we have love to one another. And then if you have a relationship that goes bad, if the girl cheats on you or leaves you, relationship problems will also cause emotional problems in men. So we look at marriage, we look at relationship, look at breakup. So therefore, when we look at these factors, we look at the amount of suicides we have in males. We look at the fact that males are dying out earlier than the females. We have to see, let's help these guys. Let's see how we can move. Now, there's a book that came out some time ago. I think it was somebody from the Penn State University, the paradox of declining female happiness. And that told us that, hey, women are getting better jobs. They are leaving their homes. They are not allowed to stay in their homes to do housework and traditionally feel imprisoned. But yet still women are getting depressed. They did some studies after that, and they showed men are also depressed also. So when they looked at those studies, they said, you guys are depressed also. And they found, when they looked at the level of men had more depression than the females. So we have to look as a global picture. The world is undergoing depression, be it biological, be it genetic, chemical changes in our body, be it the cultural, social aspect, hormones. You're looking at, again, the relationships issues. These are things that causes emotional problems in men. Unemployment, you're looking at crime hitting you, giving you post-traumatic stress. Certain things we can't help. We can't help genetics. We can't help chemicals. But what some solutions we will have is that we have to say that we have to educate others to recognize depression in men. Because we find men have what you call, they mask their depression. So some of the solutions really is to recognize it. From small, learn to recognize depression in both girls and boys. Because we know 15 to 29-year-olds, suicide is the second highest cause of death. So if you have a child, 15 to 29-year-old, and you talk to that child harshly, that child could kill themselves. So this is a reality we are facing now. Different times, different generation. I call these children the iGen generations, where they're very good at multitasking, but emotionally they are easy to collapse. So we need to look for depression in children. We need to know boys are using more lethal methods to kill themselves. So we have to look at both sexes, get the depression from school, and see how we could track these children and help them. So therefore, Ministry of Education will play a very important part. And there's easy depression rating scales we can give to schools. Again, when you come to a clinic for a normal problem, rating scales to, you come for a prostate problem. Okay, you'll be stressed out to get a finger going up, your rectum. So that will make you stressed. But there are rating scales. You come for a physical problem, fill out a depression rating scale. So we will know if to target that person. Because UK uses a rating scale. So why can't we just get and Jamaica started a rating scale in their general DMO clinics, local health centers for depression. We can start that here. It's just to print a few papers, collate it, and we will see which to target. So you come for me for high pressure, but I know I have to target depression. I have my mental health officer speak to you. I have the social worker to speak to you. If you don't want to come to the psychiatric clinic because people will say you're going crazy clinic, you go to family services and the social Ministry of Social Affairs have counseling services there. You don't have to come to the psychiatric clinic. Only if it's necessary. High suicidality, then you come to us. So again, we have to now realize that you have to get men who are unemployed to be involved in any programs in the Ministry of Labor, in the MOS program. You have to create opportunities for retired men to socialize, and for, separated men to learn to adjust to change, especially parenting, managing the home alone. And again, we look at the Department of Aging. There's a program elderly males could join, and they had plans to carry them, pass for them and carry them to do Tai Chi, pool therapy, you play cards, and those are excellent plans, but we have to make sure that we can push for it. So there are plans there that were started, but we as a population need to say, government, we need these plans to continue. So in closing, we must reprogram our old notions about our masculine values. And we have to look, at the new social landscape. It's changing. Women bosses, women CEOs, women not in the home. We have to take more roles in minding the kids, and we have to know that we can work together with our women to improve health for all. And if stressed, we are hoping any man, please reach out. There are others willing to take your hand and help you up. Thank you.